Welcome back to the Cambridge series. I am Deeksha and today we will be solving passage 2 of the third test titled Moles Happy as Homes Go Underground. It is followed by the matching headings questions which are notorious for being challenging and tricky, but I have a hack for it. We will learn the importance of the first two sentences of a paragraph as they contain the overall main idea. So let's get this done. Let's look at the strategies for solving this question type, which is the matching headings question type. So the first thing is we need to first read all the headings and then move on to each paragraph. We'll tackle every paragraph order-wise. Underline the keywords in headings. So not all headings would have keywords, but then if your heading has proper nouns or any numbers, please underline these so that it becomes easier for you to find which paragraph does it belong to. Alright. Any similarities or difference between the headings should be noted. So what does this mean? You could have two headings which have slightly similar words or which are slightly similar or which are contradictory. So these headings should be specially marked and you can circle these headings so that you don't get confused and you read them carefully when you find a paragraph which looks like it corresponds to these. And yes, our hack is that the first two lines of each paragraph mostly contain either the heading or they contain the main idea or they point towards what exactly the main idea could be. However, in an off case where the first two lines of your paragraph do not contain the main idea, read the last line of the paragraph in this case. So the passage that we'll be reading today has been taken from Cambridge IELTS 1 and it is the practice test 3 passage. So these are our list of headings as the question says. Reading passage has 9 paragraphs and you are given 12 headings. So there are 3 extra headings. Additionally, paragraph A has been done for you as an example. So the 12th option, the 12th heading corresponds to paragraph A. So we already know what the topic of paragraph A is, which is an underground home is discovered. So we know that paragraph A talks about the discovery, let's say, of an underground home. So we don't need to read it anymore. So I'm just going to strike it or remove it from my exam. Let's read the list of headings. So a designer describes his house. Alright, I think the keyword could be a designer. You would either have the name of the designer or another synonym for designer in your passage. Most people prefer conventional housing. So I think conventional here, traditional or conventional could be the keyword. Simulating a natural environment. I think simulating is a good keyword because you could have a synonym which describes simulating or trying to create a natural environment. How an underground family home developed. So whenever you have whenever you have verbs, these could serve as a synonym. Demands on space and energy are reduced. So there are two factors here, space and energy. These could be your keywords. The plans for future homes. Alright, future could be a keyword. And if you look at the heading number 7 and 9, so they talk about worldwide examples of underground living accommodation or underground housing. And your heading 9 states developing underground services around the world. So these are extremely similar because both of them talk about around the world and worldwide. So this could be slightly confusing. So circle these and when you feel that a paragraph has these as the headings, you should read both of them carefully to check which of these does the paragraph talk about. Some buildings do not require natural light. Alright, so I think natural light could be a keyword and underground living improves health. And homes sold before completion. So I think completion is a good keyword. Look for synonyms, so maybe construction, building, etc. Alright, now that we have read our list of headings and underlined our keywords, we will begin by reading the first paragraph. So the paragraph A already was done for us and it spoke about the discovery of an underground home. So we don't need to read that in detail. We'll begin with paragraph B and we'll read the first two sentences. So most falling fall off which means falling short of strict building regulations, have been forced to dismantle their individualistic homes and return to more conventional lifestyles. Alright, so since this does not give me a clear idea, I'm going to read the last line. The foundations had yet to be dug, but customers queued up to buy the unusual part submerged houses, whose back wall consists of a grassy mound. Alright, so this paragraph talks about buildings whose foundations are yet to be dug. So the construction has still not even began, and customers have started buying the unusual part submerged houses. So although the construction hasn't begun, the customers have started buying the houses. All right, let's read our list of headings. A designer describes his house. No. Most people prefer conventional housing. This does not talk about conventional housing. In fact, it talks about something quite opposite. Simulating a natural environment. No. How an underground family home developed. No. And if you keep reading, you will realize that you have the last heading, which is homes sold before completion, which is what the entire paragraph talks about. So the fact that the foundations are not yet dug and the houses are sold. So now that I found my heading, I will strike it off from the list of the headings. Moving forward to the next paragraph. The Dutch are not the only would-be moles. So we have the Dutch. Growing numbers of Europeans are burrowing below ground to create houses, offices, discos, and shopping malls. So the first two sentences are telling me that the Dutch are not the only ones who are constructing underground houses, but Europeans as well are developing below ground to create not just houses, but offices, discos, and shopping malls as well. If you keep reading, you will find more examples of places such as Canada and Tokyo, Japan in your paragraph. Now, we had two headings. Since we've already read the headings, we know there are two headings which talk about worldwide or around the world examples. Now, these both look very familiar. However, we'll have to read this paragraph in detail to discover what does it talk about. Does it talk about living accommodation, which is houses, or does it talk about all underground services? So let's read it in detail. So the Dutch are not the only would-be moles. So it doesn't actually describe whether they are developing underground houses, offices, or what exactly. It just says that they are not the only ones. Growing numbers of Europeans are burrowing or developing below ground to create houses, offices, discos, and shopping malls. In Canada, citizens escape the cold in an underground complex complete with shops and health clinics. So this passage is talking about worldwide developments and not just for living accommodations. So this is definitely not the answer, but also for all types of underground services, which clearly tells us that the ninth heading is our answer. And now that I found it, I will again strike it through. Moving forward to paragraph D. So this paragraph is just two sentences. We'll have to read both. Building big commercial buildings underground can be a way to avoid disfiguring or threatening a beautiful or environmentally sensitive landscape. Indeed, many of the buildings which consume most land, such as cinemas, supermarkets, theatres, warehouses or libraries, have no need to be on the surface, have no need to be above ground, since they do not need windows. So what exactly does this mean? They do not need to be above ground because they do not require windows for allowing light to come. So let's read the headings again, and if you read them, you will realize that it talks about some buildings do not require natural light. So they do not require windows. Why? Because there's no need for natural light to flood in, and that is why we can build them underground. So heading number 8 is a good fit for this paragraph. Moving forward to E. There are big advantages too when it comes to private homes. Alright, so now just by reading the first sentence, I know that this paragraph talks about the advantages of private homes. So I know that this paragraph is going to talk about the advantages. What advantages does it talk about? So the first one is a development of 194 houses, which would take 14 hectares of land above ground. it would occupy just 2.7 hectares below it. So reduction of land, reduction of space. The second advantage is reduction of noise, and insulation is excellent. So what does this insulation being excellent result in? It results in a decrease in the heating bills, or a decrease in the energy. So my heading should talk about the advantages or the benefits of private homes, of these type of homes. So if you read your headings, you would know that the advantages that the heading talks about is an increase in space and energy due to insulation. So sorry, a decrease in, so it's reduced. So demands on space and energy are reduced, and I can strike it through. Moving forward to paragraph F. In Europe, the obstacle has been conservative local authorities and developers who prefer to ensure quick sales with conventional mass-produced housing. All right. So it does look like, because they've used the word conventional housing here, you might feel like this is a good heading for it. However, if you keep reading, so if you read the second paragraph, but the Dutch development was greeted with relief by South Limburg planners because of Holland's chronic shortage of land. So the second sentence is a contradiction to this. It talks about the fact that although local authorities prefer conventional housing because it's easy to sell them, the second sentence says the Dutch development was relieved because there was a lot of chronic shortage of land. So people in the Dutch country were not preferring conventional housing, so which is a complete contradiction. Let's continue reading. It was the Tilburg architect Joe Herkmans who hit on the idea of making use of noise embankments on main roads. His two-floored, four-bedroomed, two-bathroomed detached homes are now taking shape. They are not so much below the earth as in it. So this talks about an architect, and it describes his house in detail. So the entire paragraph is describing the house of an architect, and if you look for synonyms in the headings, you will find that you have this heading which talks about a designer describing his houses, which is why heading number 1 is better suited for this paragraph as compared to heading number 2. So yes, there can be cases where you see exactly same words, but then these are trick cases wherein that is not the actual answer. So my answer for the paragraph F is 1. A designer describes his houses. For paragraph F, in US, where energy efficient homes became popular after the oil crisis of 1973, 10,000 underground houses have been built. A terrace of 5 homes, Britain's first subterranean development, is underway in Nottinghamshire. So I have an example of house development in US, in Britain, and if you will continue reading, in Italy as well. So you have examples of worldwide examples of underground living accommodation, which is why heading number 7 is the correct heading for this paragraph. Alright, moving forward to paragraph H, which is again just a 3-sentence paragraph. Not everyone adapts so well, and in Japan, scientists at the Shimizu Corporation have developed space creation systems which mix light, sounds, breezes, and scents to stimulate people who spend long periods below ground. Underground offices in Japan are being equipped with virtual windows, so fake windows which try to imitate reality, while underground departments in the University of Minnesota have periscopes to reflect views and lights. Alright. So if you look at the meaning for the word stimulate, it means to encourage the interest or arouse interest in or fake interest in something which is virtual. And if you read your list of headings, so most people prefer conventional housing. It does not really talk about that. Simulating a natural environment. Yes, this is exactly what this means. So why? Because there are in Japan, scientists are trying different ways. They are mixing light, sound, breezes, and scents to try and fake reality for the people who are spending a lot of time below ground. So this is the correct heading for this paragraph, simulating a natural environment, so replicating a natural environment for people who spend a lot of times underground. Moving forward to I. So, but Frank Sigmund and his family loved their hobbit lifestyle. Their home evolved when he dug a cool room for his bakery. So, when he dug a room for the bakery business in a hill he had created, later on during a heat wave, they took to sleeping there. I think this much is enough to guess which heading it is talking about. It does not talk about most people preferring conventional housing, it does not talk about the plans for future homes, and it does not talk about the fact that it improved their health. So we have our answer here. How an underground family home developed, and as we had discussed earlier, developed was our keyword. So there is a synonym for developed, which is their home evolved or developed when he initially built a room for the bakery, but during the heat wave, they started sleeping there. Alright, so I hope this helped you solving the answers for the matching headings passage, and do let us know in the comment section which passage from the Cambridge series do you find difficult, and we shall solve and cover it for you.